Good afternoon and welcome back. I'm Marcus Peter. After losing his bride to cancer, Mike Romano of EWTN's Tompkins series talks about carrying his family forward with Sunday Mass and the sweet sound of Mama's voice. Mike, thank you very much for joining us. How are you?
Hey, I'm blessed because you exist, Marcus. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about my late beloved, beautiful angel, Jennifer.
Brother, I'll be the first to say this. This is an extremely painful story for me to even talk about because it's just one of those things that as a husband you can't even fathom. And so to read about your story and to know that this is something you're going through and it's raw and painful is difficult, and yet that's why it's so necessary. Share with us the story in a nutshell.
Yeah, so about 4 years ago, my late wife Jennifer was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Went into remission about maybe 7 months later, and then it came back in the form of brain cancer about a year later, and she was given about maybe 2 to 4 months to live. She was diagnosed with it had gone to her brain, and she was diagnosed with leptomeningeal carcinomatosis. Try saying that 3 times, right? Anyway, thankfully, the Lord gave us 14 months. I got an extra 14 months with her to, and during that time, she made a fervent return to the faith. She'd been away from it for a while. Our family started going back to Mass, and we still hold that to this day. That's the non-negotiable in our family, is that we all go to Mass, and that honestly is the best part of my week is sitting in the pew with my 3 beautiful children and worshiping God together. And of course, during the fall, whenever I pick them up from school, being able to hear her beautiful voice pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet with me that we recorded about 11 years ago in my home studio is just, man, you can't it doesn't get any better than that, Marcus, that her legacy, that what we recorded lives on. Her voice lives on, and my kids and I, we can all pray together with Mama.
I'm once again tremendously moved by the entire story, and even based on your testimony and knowing about you, you clearly loved her dearly, and you speak of her and her influence in your life as part of God's plan for your life. Can you share that?
Yes, Marcus. Jen was she was an online instructor for the University of Phoenix. She taught speech and English, and she must have taught well over 1,600 students. And I can't begin to tell you the outpouring of love that I received from those students after she passed, telling me how much she of a beacon of hope, an inspiration that she was to them, and she gave them a lot of confidence to carry on in life. And even when she was diagnosed with brain cancer and was told that she only had 2 to 4 months to live, she would not let death get the final word, right? I mean, we talk about in our faith, death wears your sting, and her inspiration, her fight, her grit to stare in the face of death and say, "You will not get the final word," is an inspiration for me, ongoing. Sure there are tough times, but that really has been an inspiration, for me is her hope, her testimony, the way she lived her life. It wasn't always easy, but she kept going. She persisted, and that's one thing I've tried to pass on to my kids too, is about life is about persistence. You persevere to the very end, and she certainly provided that, and then some, Marcus.
About 11 years ago, you and Jen recorded the Divine Mercy Chaplet together, and
Yeah.
It's fortuitous that you're able to replay it now again and again. talk to us about how much of a fruit that's been for you, for your children.
Well, I mean, it certainly gets me going through the tough times, and hearing her voice, it just sparks that inspiration, and not only that, it's just knowing that I work for Archangel Radio. I'm a producer there, and I can't tell you how many people have called up Marcus or emailed me saying, "Hey, you and your wife praying that Divine Mercy Chaplet, because of those prayers, my son or my daughter has returned to the faith, or some other miracle has happened in their lives." That's what gets me. That's what gets me going on. That's what keeps me going in the faith, is that knowing other people are affected by that legacy that Jen and I have created. Because it's not about us. I mean, it's about other people that are all on this journey carrying their cross. And if the fact that we can help people, that Divine Mercy Chaplet can help others carry their cross. I mean, gosh, Marcus, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And that's knowing that fact helps me in my daily walk, in my faith.
I know your history and your background as a comedian, and while I would love to ask you to do that, I don't think this conversation is the time for it, because I'm really appreciating just how much you're sharing your heart with all of us. And it's very clear that God has gifted you and called you, even in the beautiful 18 years you had with Jen, to a very fruitful ministry and marriage. And Jen's part of it is still continuing in your ministry today. Can you please speak about that?
Yeah, I mean, I told my kids at the funeral, I said, forgive me if I get a little choked up saying this, Marcus, but I said, guys, we have to be brave. And we like John Paul II said, fear not, right? Fear not. Death does not have the final word. And if there's one thing that Mama would want you to do and carry on her legacy, is to be Christ to others. Be the love of Christ to others. Because, my job, Marcus, as a husband and father now, is to get my kids to heaven. And that's what every role of every father should be, right? To get their kids to heaven, to pray with them, to lead them to Christ, and to encourage them to be Christ to others. Because my kids may be the only Bible that someone out there reads.
Yeah.
They may look to my kids and say, that's what I want. That joy that they have despite losing their mother, I want that joy. How do I get that? And Jen was certainly joyful and loving, even in the face of death.
And even in the face of that, we know that death doesn't have the last word.
It doesn't have the final word, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Even,
Mike,
right.
I wanna,
even in the face of loss.
Yeah. And I want to just brother to brother, father to father, blessed Father's Day to you. God bless you for your continued yes to the Lord. And thank you so much. Thank you for joining us to share this wonderful story.
Thank you so very much, Marcus, for the opportunity to share that. And I would love to, if there's any way I can reach out to others.
Absolutely. And for all of you, if you're interested in reaching out to Mike, please write to the program, and we would be happy to help you connect to Mike. I've been talking with Mike Romano, who is a part of Archangel Radio. He hosts their morning program, produces it as well, and he is part of the EWTN Catholic Radio family. Pray for the Romano family as they've lost their mother. Stay tuned. I'm Marcus Peter.